Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call or the recording subsequently thereafter. I'm going to move quickly through this call, but there is a lot of good news to share with you today, and one of the reasons I need to be brief is because those of you that have been following the situation in Iraq and with the Iraqi dinar are well aware of the progress being made. And so I have a lot of individuals that are contacting us by phone and by email. They're anxious to get our initial trust package, and we certainly want to get that out to them as quickly as we possibly can. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and move quickly through the call. The first thing I want to discuss here are the players involved. And these would involve Prime Minister Ali al-Zaidi of Iraq and the governor of the CBI of Iraq, Nizar Hussain, and of course, Donald Trump. These are the three individuals that, working together, can finally, after decades, bring this thing to fruition. And in order for this to be accomplished, the nation-state of Iraq needs security and stability. And given everything that's transpired, and I'm going to get into that in a moment, it seems to me that September 1st, by September 1st, would be a reasonable expectation for the reinstitution of and revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. So with that in mind, I want to discuss with you the things that need to be done prior to the reinstitution and revaluation. I'm speaking, of course, to individuals that have currencies, and the program that our attorney, Robert Bly, has put in place to assist you with that. Now let's talk a little bit more about the security and stability in Iraq. And in order to do that, we first have to talk about what President Trump has been up to in the last 30 days. Well, the first thing he's done, and those of you that have been watching TV have seen it, he is finally and for the first time neutralizing Iran. He's destroyed their nuclear program. He's destroyed their missile program. He's destroyed their bridges. He's destroyed their conventional military capabilities to the point where Iran is now begging to work out a deal. And that is the most important piece of the puzzle with regard to security and stability in Iraq. In the Middle East. But Iraq has some issues that need to be resolved too. And to that end, President Trump has sent his envoy, Tom Barak, to assist Iraq with both the formation of their government and the completion of their monetary reform. Given everything that's transpired in the last 30 days, I think a very reasonable expectation for the reinstitution and revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, and what I mean by that, its placement on the Forex, is sometime between mid-August and September 1st. Now, why do I say that? Well, in Iraq, we're clearly in the final stage. And the CBI has been routinely now releasing articles discussing what needs to be done. The deletion of the zeros, digitization of their currency, all of the final stages. But even at 1-to-1, in other words, when the IQD hits the Forex, and let's say hypothetically it hits at 1-to-1, even at that rate, those of us that have purchased the Iraqi dinar, whether it was last year, 5 years ago, 25 years ago, know that that is a huge windfall profit. But what can we expect with the deletion of the zeros? If you do the math, the dinar at 13.10, the deletion of the zeros places it at about $1.31, so it would be over $1 even at that rate. But remember, when Iraq went into a program rate, the Iraqi dinar was worth $3.22 USD. The Basel compliant rate, and a Basel compliant rate is the value of a currency of a given country is based on the known natural resources of that country and the ability of that country to bring those resources to market. Given that information, experts have said that the Iraqi dinar could rest close to $5, about $4.85. Let's assume conservatively that if it hits the 4x slightly over $1, it could rest somewhere between $3.22 and $4.85. And that would be a huge windfall profit. So there's no reason to belabor it any further. Over the years, we've gotten into a lot of technical information, predictions about what needed to happen to move to the next stage, how long that would take. There were some bad players in Iraq. Many of them are now gone. So again, I think it's more than reasonable to expect the Iraqi dinar to hit the 4x in the very near future. And once it does, given the number of years that the currency has been dormant and given the incredible natural resources in Iraq, and I'll be conservative in my opinion, I can expect the dinar to hit $3. So for those of us that purchased the dinar, a $3 return per dinar would be a huge windfall. And those of us that have purchased the Iraqi dinar have phase two of all of this, and that is how do we manage this windfall? For a number of reasons, individuals that have purchased the dinar and have held it for a number of years are not people of great wealth, not individuals that have experience with investing long-term and short-term. And so it's going to be a daunting task for people who have purchased dinar, who have held them, many for decades, and then all of a sudden they're on their way to the bank to exchange those currencies at a, from their perspective, and I would agree, a ridiculous rate of return. This is the concern that our attorney, Robert Bly, along with myself, has had with individuals. The concern is the reinvestment of this money without losing it, and also protecting this money from the potential of civil suits, because wealth is a magnet to civil suits, and individuals that are unfamiliar with managing large sums of money, unfortunately, are easy targets. And with that in mind, our attorney, Robert Bly, has constructed a trust package that he believes will provide the protections that you need. However, this trust package must be established prior to this event. So time is running short if you're serious about protecting this wealth. And what I want to do here is just very briefly touch on the benefits that you will enjoy by establishing your asset protection trust package prior to the reinstitution and revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. First, this package will protect your privacy and your anonymity, because while you are the beneficiary of the trust, it's the trust that owns the currencies. So on paper, you're still you. That wealth is there for you to enjoy, but it's owned by the trust of which you are the sole and, or at very least, primary beneficiary. Second, this trust will help you to avoid personal IRS scrutiny, meaning that if you as an individual receive this windfall, the IRS is probably going to want to investigate a little further. However, if this wealth were to occur within a very sophisticated trust package, the IRS tends to move along. They understand the complexity of such a package, and They don't want to get involved in a very long, protracted audit. So there's much less likelihood of an audit. But even if there is an audit, it's fairly easy for you to explain. You purchase the currencies, you establish the trust package, you assign the currencies to the trust. So rather than being the owner and the beneficiary of those assets, the trust is the owner and you are the beneficiary. Another issue is gift taxes. Many individuals want to gift currencies to family and friends, but they know that they will incur a substantial gift tax by doing so. Of course, the way to avoid that is to gift the currencies pre-RV to these individuals, because the pre-RV value in many cases is below the threshold for a gift tax. Now, even this creates a little bit of a problem for people because they're concerned for a number of reasons that these individuals cannot handle this wealth, whether they're adults or whether they're children. Well, once again, our attorney, Robert Bly, has solved that problem. Within our trust package is a special gift subtrust. This means that you can gift currencies to family and friends, pre-RV currencies, that is. And by gifting pre-RV currencies, you're avoiding any gift tax. But in addition, because you're gifting the currencies through the special gift subtrust, you will have control of the post-RV proceeds. So it's the best of both worlds. You gift the currencies and avoid the federal gift tax, and you still, if you wish, can control the post-RV proceeds. A fourth benefit is this: a trust package will allow you to avoid the federal, state tax, and probate. Why? Because within the trust, you will name the beneficiaries. This means that when you eventually pass away, there will be no transfer of assets to another owner. That's what triggers the federal estate tax. The beneficiaries change within the trust. They go from you, the creator of the trust, to the people that you've named as beneficiaries, but the ownership of the assets doesn't change. They still remain within the trust. And since the ownership of the assets do not change, there is no probate and there is no federal estate tax. And I can't really belabor this much more other than to say the federal estate tax, the tax that's paid on inheritance, can be as high as 55% of that wealth. So by transferring these assets through the trust, your heirs will receive 100 cents on the dollar. There will be no probate. There will be no public disclosure of the estate and the holdings that you've inherited. And because there's no federal estate tax, you'll receive 100 cents on the dollar. Last benefit is preemptive asset protection. Because you have transferred this wealth to the trust, if you should ever be sued, you could only be sued for the value of the currencies at the time of the transfer. Now, there is a look-back period, but once you've gotten beyond that, once again, the assets were gifted away, and you can't be sued for more than they were worth. And, of course, they're worth the pre-RV value, not the post-RV value. So these are the benefits of the trust package. These benefits are only available through a package of asset protection trusts. This particular package of asset protection trusts were written by our attorney, Robert Bly. I got involved with Trusts Unlimited years ago because I was fortunate enough to run across Mr. Bly. And when I got a look at the trust, I realized how valuable it would be. It's one thing to buy the currencies because you anticipate a substantial increase in value. It's another thing to be patient, to purchase more currencies, to watch the ebb and flows and to see how long this takes. But it's another thing to understand and to benefit from the fact that because you've established this trust package, You've guaranteed to protect this wealth for yourself and your family. You've protected your privacy. You've protected the transfer of assets to your family. You've protected their privacy. And there are, I don't want to get into the details, are certain tax benefits that are available. And there are other spin-off trusts that can be established in order to enjoy even more benefits. I will just mention one briefly. Let's assume hypothetically that you had 10 million dinar. And let's also assume that they revalued for a very conservative dollar. You now have $10 million. If you took, say, a quarter of that and put it into something called a charitable remainder trust, that means when you pass away, that money, that principal would go to that charity. But it means something else too. It means that during your lifetime, all of the income generated from that charitable gift is tax-free to you. So there are a number of things that you can do with trusts to protect your privacy, to protect your anonymity, to reduce your taxes, to provide for your family, to provide philanthropic benefits, and at the same time protect this wealth, scrutiny from civil litigation, and all of that. Now, our trust package is initially a package of 10 trusts consisting of one master trust that will hold financial assets like bank accounts, investment accounts, one optional gift subtrust if you decide to gift currencies to family and friends and you want to control the post-RV proceeds, and then 8 additional subtrusts to hold assets like homes, cars, boats, etc. Now, why do you need the extra subtrusts to hold these other assets? Once again, to protect you from civil litigation. By placing each asset, house, cars, boats, etc., in separate subtrusts, if any of those assets ever get involved in civil litigation, it would only be that asset because the other assets are in separate subtrusts, which under the law are separate legal entities that would not be involved in any way in the litigation. So this trust package was designed by our attorney, Robert Bly, specifically with denarians in mind. It provides all of the protections that you can think of and a lot of protections that you probably haven't been thinking too much about. Now, this trust package has an initial cost of $2,550. Packages like this can routinely cost as much as $10,000. But when Robert Bly decided that he was going to construct a trust package for denarians, he was aware of the potential market here, and so he very generously has reduced the initial cost of this trust package in order to assist denarians, many of whom are hardworking middle-class people that certainly cannot afford the cost of a very sophisticated trust package. But by marketing it as we have, we've been able to make it available at a reasonable price. Now, if the things we've discussed are of interest here, I strongly suggest you contact us to get our initial no-obligation package. You're under no obligation to proceed, but it has a lot of information about Mr. Bly, his firm, about us, about this trust, and how it works. You can review the package. Contact us if you have any questions. If you wish to proceed, you can certainly contact us. We'll assist you with that. You'll submit your initial application and fee. We should have your trust package to you within a week. Given where we are right now, I would strongly suggest if the things we've discussed are of interest that you contact us to get our initial no obligation package. Again, contact us by email. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimited, LLC@gmail.com. That's trusts with an S, unlimited, LLC@gmail.com. Contact us at that email address. we will get the package out to you as quickly as we can. It does include phone numbers. If you have any questions, you can contact us. We'll be happy to help you in every way. Everything you need is included in the package. And again, after all of the years that we've been involved in this, I honestly believe that we are on the threshold of the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar. As I stated earlier, that I expect rather that this will be done on or before September 1st. So we have literally weeks to get your affairs in order. So please contact us to get our initial package. We'll be happy to assist you in every way. Let me see if I can go to a Q&A here. Well, you know what? I'm going to dispense with the Q&A. I have so many people that have already sent questions to us that I need to answer. I'm going to go ahead and proceed with that. But I want to thank all of you for listening to this call. I strongly suggest you contact us to get our initial no-obligation package. We'll get it out to you as soon as possible. If you've purchased dinar, if you've held them for all of these years with the hope and the wish and now the expectation that these currencies are going to revalue, go ahead and do the math, because you are going to be a wealthy individual, and it would behoove you. Contact us and get involved with the legal instruments that can help you to protect that wealth post-RV, because I can't think of anything worse than having purchased these currencies, waited patiently for decades, only to turn around and lose that money because you didn't take the next step, which is to provide or to establish an asset protection trust to protect that wealth. Our next call is scheduled for next Wednesday. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to schedule an emergency conference call and get an email out. But failing that, we'll be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And once again, if you are Dinarian and you've been paying close attention, things are moving very quickly and in the right direction in Iraq. And I would not be surprised if we were in the banks in the very near future negotiating the exchange of our dinar. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. God bless. Have a great week. Bye-bye.